Pirate families. I'm Lissay Timmons McLaughlin, interim principal at Page High School. Please join me with this video as we take a walk down memory lane, a look at 60 years of excellence with academics, with the arts, and athletics. Thank you for letting me be a part of your history. Go Page Pirate 60 years. Arrgh!
I've been here 3 times. I was a student here and graduated in '67. I was an assistant principal for 1980 to '89, and then I became principal here in 1991 until 2000. My mom taught here for 20 plus years, and she was chairman of the history department. And in fact, after I graduated and went to school and taught for a while, I came back as an assistant principal. She was still on the staff, so I was her boss. That was part of the deal was I could never evaluate her, a missed opportunity. But on the other hand, since I did come back, and I could evaluate all those teachers that had me as a student, so it was fair play, I guess. But yeah, Mom loved this place. She was very proud of being on the Page staff, and I have real fond memories. Coming to a basketball game, she'd always sit on the last row, grading papers all during the game. And it holds a real special place for my family and myself too. I mean, for all of us. But she, in fact, there's a scholarship for her here now for a graduating senior who was going to be a teacher and who's good in history. But yeah, she loved this place. There were 2 really good memories, and it happened every year. It was the first day of school and graduation. Graduations are always neat. And you saw the kids and the parents, and that was just a great day. That stands out because that's what everybody's here for, is to get through high school and start on the next part of your life, and graduations were always special.
Page Pirates, 60 years of artistic, athletic, and academic excellence. Being a part of Walter Hines Page High School is special. What makes it so special? The people, the dedicated staff, the talented students, the dedicated alumni, and the friends in the community. My most memorable moments as a Page Pirate, being a part of a state championship basketball team, and simply just hanging out with my friends at lunch. Congratulations on a wonderful milestone. Celebrate like Page Pirates do. Congratulations on 60 wonderful years.
I was 1 year out of college, came here to teach, knowing that I had to go into service, and so I spent 65, 66 here, and then 66 through 68 in the service, and then came back here in 68 and retired in 96. Well, I think the first person that made an impact was Rosalind Brooks, who was a Latin teacher who taught across the hall from me at G-Wing. Here I was, a 23, 24-year-old young person coming in, and she said, the first advice I have to give you is do not smile till after Thanksgiving, because you will control your classes better if they don't see that you're easy and happy to smile. So she was one of the big ones. That was a great thing about Page, is that there were so many great people, and I would hate to start listing them because of the fact that I might leave somebody out that shouldn't be left out. I had great assistant coaches while I was here, worked with great people in the social studies department.
I was a student at Page from 1980 to 1983, and prior to that I have a sister, no, actually I had 2 sisters and 2 brothers that also attended Page. And from 2000 to 2008, had 2 daughters to graduate from Page. My senior year, I just wanted to have lots of fun with some of the people that I attended school with, and man, those were some of the greatest times of my life, attending the basketball games and watching these boys play football.
In those days, high school, was 3 years, so I came here as a sophomore in August of '71. And immediately got involved in athletics, and have wonderful memories of Page, particularly sports. Academic side was good as well, but the competition and the the school spirit that Page High School had then, and I think has to this day, are things I never forget. It's always a fond memory to beat Grimsley, and we beat them a lot when I was here in football both years. We shut them out both years, actually. Beat them 31-0 when I was a senior. That was special. And our basketball program was just getting going. Coach Morris, we were probably his most successful team at that point. We got to the semifinals in the state tournament and lost, but had a great year, won 20 games that year, and I think was sort of the stepping stone for the incredible success he had soon thereafter.
I was a teacher here from 1974 to 2002. I taught English at all levels. I did the school paper for 18 of the 30 years that I was here. I taught Bible literature, which was a very popular course some time ago. I was fortunate to be a part of it since I was coaching, but it reached beyond the coaching level to just something which really permeated the school in a good way. The philosophy then was if you felt good about your school, then you would do well. And athletics was one way that it was facilitated. And so, some of my best memories were trips to other places, especially in football, where we could just board a bus and take off with a group of kids and just have a really, really good time.
My name is Alan Duncan, and I have been on the Guilford County Board of Education from 2000 to the present, so approximately 18 years coming on soon. I've had a long association with Page High School and have many, many cherished memories. My first associations with Page go back to watching some of the great athletic teams of the 1980s. At the time, as time went on, obviously I spent a lot of time at Page High School for two reasons. One as my role as a board member. I had often had the opportunity to visit and be a part of Page High School, and I must say the accomplishments of our educators in leading our students to just incredible accomplishments by our students has been a joy to watch for many years. Our kids are so talented. The students that have gone through Page High School are just remarkable. And they've been led by a remarkable group of principal leaders, faculty members, and people on the classified staff who care about the kids, and the kids know it.
In the arts, you get caught up in the emotion of the moment. So there were many, many wonderful, wonderful performances, both of musicals and in concerts, and we did several trips. Back then, there was a real sense of camaraderie among the students that were here. As I said, well, in sports it happens, but you become a very tight-knit group when you perform together. It's almost as if you are a family.
That when I walked in, I came after Sam Doyle, who had been the choral director here for 28 years. And when I walked in and saw the office, the music, the files, the whole setup, it was unbelievable to me. It was wonderful. The Page Pirate Pride is more encompassing. It doesn't matter whether it's the choir making Superior or a team winning the state championship. Everybody's proud of everything.
I came to Page as a 10th grader because there was no 9th grade at the time at the school. It was Page Senior High School. Really the camaraderie of that I had with my classmates, and I had some terrific teachers and terrific administrators and principals at that time. I have a sibling. I'm the youngest of 4. There's such an age difference between me and my siblings. There's a 10-year age difference between the next one and myself. And She finished Page in 1977. My sister Heidi was known to be she was a dancer. And so she performed in a lot of the school plays that were given, done here at Page. She was a gymnast also back then. And so she finished in 1977. I finished in 1988. You know, there were always people who would encourage you to do that. I never heard, not once, there wasn't a teacher or a friend or a classmate who said, "Oh, I wouldn't try that. Don't do that. You shouldn't participate in that." I always had people around me who encouraged me to do things.
I was a student in the first class in 1958. It was exciting, you know. Of course, seeing these people we'd never seen. We didn't win a game in anything, I don't think. But it was, you know, it was a good place to be. Met a lot of new friends. I came back and worked here 27 or 28 years. And I thought in my last stay here that I thought that our principal made it special. He had some rules that we had to stand by, and if we didn't, we'd hear about it. But
I've been involved with Page High School since 1991 when my daughter came here as a freshman. My son graduated in '03, so there was a 4-year period that I was not involved at Page. I stayed on the board for 2 years after he graduated in '03. At that time, Dr. Whirl, who was the principal, asked me would I consider starting a Page Alumni and Friends Association. And I said, I don't know. I have to think about it. So I thought about it for 6 months. And at that time, I gathered about 30 people that I knew. This was in 2006, summer of 2006. About 35 people gathered in the Page Media Center. And we talked about starting an association. Had a lot of people on board at that time. Not too many of those are around now, but some of them are. But that was the way we started.
I became the principal of Page High School in 2012. I served as the principal until February of 2017. You know, as I was pulling up to Page, it just always puts a smile on my face. Honestly, and I should say this is the best job that I had because it was fun and I felt the impact that we were making. When I think of memories, I think of when I first got here and the hype with the Page and Grimsley game. And I think about the first home game that we had, I was principal, and we got on the bus to head to Grimsley. And I thought about all the hype with this game, and here we are going to Grimsley High School to play our home game. And I vowed to myself right then and there, if there was any way possible, I would bring the game to Page High School. So one of my fondest memories is the first Page and Grimsley game here. I was scared. You know, everybody said, if it goes wrong, it's on you. But, you know, I think about all the planning me, Rusty Lee, and Griff and the administrative team did. It went off without a hitch. And I think that's something that's continuing today. So when I think of fond memories, that's one of the ones that I think of.
I was a biology teacher here at Page from the years of 1977, and I retired in 2007. So 30 years I spent walking these halls. I think it had a good parent base, excellent administration, and wonderful students. The majority of my experiences were good. Very fortunate that Haywood Jeffries, one of my students here at Page, was a wide receiver for the Houston Oilers. And as teams during that year were asked to submit the names of the most influential teachers, and I won for the month of November. And I had all these accolades. I was so surprised. I was on TV, locally and nationally. I was in the Time magazine, Sports Illustrated. I will never forget that, and I will never forget how kind he is.
I was hired as a band director the year after Charles Murphy resigned. Mr. C hired me, in fact, in this very room. and worked here for several years before I went back to UNCG. There are quite a few of them. Working with Mr. Steve, some wonderful, wonderful kids, drum majors, real dedicated kids that like to work. And I think we accomplished some things.
I feel like I grew up at Page. You know, when Dad taught here, I spent my weekends and summers hanging out with the cool kids, the band kids. And so when I came back to teach in '03, it was like coming back home. I think I remember the first time I realized on the football field that my dad was my teacher. It was just kind of a moment of like, I knew it was going to happen, but it was just kind of looking up there going like, it's Mr. Spicer. Oh wait, that's my dad. And so that kind of moment was interesting.
Student here at Page High School in 1962, graduated in 1964, played football here. Matter of fact, I was on the first team, football team that beat Grimsley for the first time, and it was a joy. I was a police officer, and I kept coming over here helping out Bob Clendenin with his problems with trespassers and fights and domestic problems. And so one day he and I were sitting on the hood of my car just talking, and I told him most of his problems happen between 10:30 in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I came over and started just hanging out in the parking lot, and eventually Bob gave me a walkie, and he said, if you have to run off, just throw it down and take off. Eventually to write a program to put school resource officer, not school resource, but law enforcement on school campus. So I wrote a program, and my wife helped me write the program, and we eventually started putting law enforcement on school campus with that program. So that was my first experience as a staff member here at Page. But I was here 12 years as a school resource officer.
The great experience of working here and serving as assistant principal for 6 years. Certainly the experience of seeing the growth through the years, being recognized as School of Distinction for our last 3 years here, Ms. Foley and I. The team we had, administrative team, and just working for awesome leaders. You know, it really does make a difference when you have that person all the way up top that kind of set the tone.
We were at Page from 1985 to 1991 with our sons here. I think there's something here for each student. They can excel at their own pace, and they can go into college with college credits, or they can find their spot, I think, here at Page.
I worked at Page for 10 years. A long time ago. From 66 to 76, I coached, I was assistant coach in football, assistant coach in basketball. I was a head track coach and the head golf coach during those years.
I've been here for 3 years as a junior. I've got a special connection to Page High School because I'm here from 8 to 6:30 every day as an IB student and a two-sport athlete.
I was at Page from 1982 and graduated in 1985, and then I became reacquainted with Page when I started working with the Page Alumni and Friends Association several years ago, and then my daughter graduated last year, and my son Sam is a current junior, and I have another daughter who will be here in a few years. So I'll still be here for several years to come.
The most appealing thing about Page is how many different groups of people are here. It's not necessarily based on race, even though we have a very diverse population at Page. If you have any interest at Page, you can pursue it. I know many people who are in the play and the band who enjoy sports, but at the end of the day, we're all still friends and we all get along.
I came into Page, Dr. Worrell had just gotten Page approved to be an IB school. So when I came in, one of the first things I had to do was to establish that curriculum make sure everybody was trained and get the IB program up and running. So that was the very first thing that I had to do here at Page. You know, there were so many, but I think the feeling that I first had when I walked into the auditorium and the band was playing and the new freshmen were in for orientation, it was just such a feeling of pride to be here and be associated with such a prestigious school. So from then on, everything was wonderful, but that was the first time that I think I really felt so connected to Page. But I think my fondest feeling was when I first went into the auditorium and the band was playing and the cheerleaders were cheering and the new freshmen were there. I felt such a deep connection and sense of pride in being here. So that everything came after that goes all the way back to that very first feeling.
My connection to Page, I was an assistant principal. I came in when the class of 2013, they were sophomores, so I graduated them. And then the class of 2017, if I had stayed, would have been my babies, but everybody's my baby. My fondest memory of Page High School is when we came together and we did the Macy's Be True to Your School. That was October the 1st, 2014. And that was a very, very fun-filled day, and that showed that we had a lot of pride there and we came together for that. We didn't win, but it was still something that was remarkable, and I just loved it. And watch for me in the video. It's on YouTube.
The first time I encountered Page High School was in the year 1968. When I was signed to Page High School for my student teaching. I'm fresh out of college, and I was teaching students that were just a few years younger than I was, and I could relate to what all they were going through, and the jokes and the playing around. It was a difficult time. It was after desegregation, but it was a big learning experience for me, one of which I got a contract to teach here the next year, but I didn't even make it a full year. I decided that teaching was not for me, that I was not blessed enough to have the patience and all of that. I had two sons, Brian and Alan, which they probably don't want their names mentioned, but they both attended high school here. They came from ACOC and then did all 4 years here at Page, 3 years apart. And at the same time, I was either on the PTA board here at Page, or I was on the Guilford County, I was president of the Guilford County PTA board. Well, I always had a love for education, I always had a love for kids. I didn't find my niche in teaching, but I wanted to do something to help public education, and I've always been an advocate for public education. If we don't have that, a good public education system, what do we have?
I came to Page in the fall of 1986. That's the year that the 9th grade students came to Page. We used to have a junior high system, and I was a counselor at Mendenhall for 10 years. And the year they moved the 9th grade here is the year I moved, and I was here until I retired in 2016. Staff is fantastic. They're all hardworking, intelligent, flexible, very student-centered. Of course, as one of the counselors, I felt like we had the best counseling staff in the nation. A great group of counselors I've worked with. And one challenge, many folks know that one of my biggest challenges was living in a house of Grimsley graduates. My wife and my adult children, Rebecca and Jacob, and my wife's name is Ann, they were all Grimsley graduates, so that was certainly a challenge for me over the 30 years that I was here, was to offset that influence in my house to remember how great Page is and how strong our sense of everything is.
Director here at Page for 27 years. I really stumbled into the job. I feel like I came for the interview experience, and it was supposed to be a 15-minute interview, and it went an hour and a half, and Lou Blucher called me the day after, said if could I get my last 10 years experience. Well, I had been teaching for 10 years, so that was kind of funny. Paul Pereira was the first one to hire me. He enabled me to learn to be an administrator. I had great people around me that had done my job before, with Kirby and Mac and Zach, and so I was able to learn to be an administrator. And I had, great guidance. But yeah, I've had great administrators from the day I started to right now, and I was on the job about a month when we won our first state championship in my tenure as men's soccer. And we won it after getting a red card and going a man down, and we were a goal down with about 3 minutes to go in 1991 with our men's soccer. And I thought, man, this has got to be better than this. And our kids rallied. So there's been some exciting times.
We moved here with my family in the fall of 1989, and I taught at Lincoln Middle School and several elementaries for 2 years. And then this job opened up in 1991. I was hired, and I have been at Mendenhall and Page for the past 27 years. I believe always having high expectations for our students. I believe that our school has excelled at music, at sports, so many other areas that we have been able to offer and continue to offer for our students.
I was a member of the Page NJROTC drill team. That's the armed drill team, exhibition drill team, as well as standard drill team. 2 instructors. Miss Ann Trail, she was my English teacher when I arrived here in my sophomore year. And she encountered this student who just moved into the city. I came in, looking around, everybody was trying to feel me out. The students were like, oh, and she introduced me, as a matter of fact, to the class. And when everyone heard he's from New York, they were all edgy and answered like, oh, it's how to break into cars, this sort of thing. But she calmed down the class as best she could, but she really made me feel comfortable. She saw something in me immediately.
Well, I started working with Page in 1995 and worked until 2008. It was a really great, place for me to be. And I felt the one thing about Page that I think was very memorable to me is that it had a great culture, and there was a great culture of collaboration, and collaboration was encouraged. Maybe just a moment in the classroom, and I know when I was hired here, Paul Pereira he had one expressed goal, and that was that he wanted a grade 6 superior band. And I'm not even sure if he knew what that was, but he knew Grimsley had it. So with Tony Bryant, who I just had a lot to do with every assembly program we ever had, and he always thought it was very important that we had music at every assembly, and it made us feel included and important. And I think that was that culture was prevalent in the school.
I was the assistant principal here at Page High School for 2 years. Had a wonderful experience. Going to the basketball games. At the time we had Marshall Reed. Neely was one of our basketball stars, and just the crowd, the energy of the basketball games, the football games, all the sporting events. We really had a great time with all the sporting events.
My name's Charles Wright. I'm a Page Pirate from the class of 1986. Went on to the University of Georgia and returned home in the early 90s and became active with our Page Alumni and Friends Association. Well, I had lots of great teachers. But thinking it over, there were two that always stood out to me, and one was Al Powell, who was my yearbook teacher. I always loved journalism, and it was really special to learn from him, and mainly because of the passion he had for the school. A lot of times we didn't behave the way we should have in class, and he always reminded us of how proud we should be to be Pirates. I always loved school. I always loved coming here. And the more I give, the more I'm getting back from it. I have 2 children that are currently enrolled, a freshman and a junior. And you know, I was doing this now for 10 or 12 years. And it really, just to see the looks on the kids' faces when you give back, and to get to walk through the hallways now and the teachers actually know who I am again, it's kind of fun.
Great experience as assistant principal at Page High School. I distinctly remember that Paul Puryear had left, Dr. Puryear had left to take a promotion in Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. So I stepped in that year to help out here at Page. I worked with Ray Haupt, Lou Blucher, and Martita Dixon, and I think we made an excellent administrative team. And learned a lot here, and it prepared me to do a lot of jobs later over the next 20 years here in Guilford County Schools, including my current job as chief of schools for the school district. 2 fond memories here at Page. One, I remember just the excessive and just really high level of pride that the faculty, students, and parent communities had. I also remember one spring day we had this really bad storm that blew over this school, the county, and knocked out power. Mid-morning, we were without power all day long. Trees were down. I think Rusty Lee was the athletic director, and we sent him over to the central office to let the central office know we had had some really bad storm to blow over the school. But I remember how the administration, faculty, staff, and students all just worked together, got through the day without incident, with no power, no hot lunch. But everybody just kind of stood up and represented Page Pirates that day. So it's a great experience.
I came here in 1973 and through 1996. And originally when I came here, I'd been hired as the athletic director and head football coach. Door down there that led into the boiler room, and that's where I met him. And he said, "Coach, I've been thinking about this thing. Said I may lose you as an athletic director, but you're going to be the football coach." I said, "Yes, sir." And that put me back in the classroom. I went 2 classes with this free time during the day to do the athletic director stuff, and then I had 5 classes after that. And I knew that was one of the happier days in my life. Well, automatically, just probably as long as you were here on time and where you were supposed to be, you had things off. I mean, you find them. But don't be where you're not supposed to be. Don't do something else. And he was a very, I thought he was a very supportive boss. Sometimes people might be getting after you and all this sort of thing. And he stood up for you. And I think we all appreciated that. I mean, we might get a little scolding or so, but I thought he was a great leader.
I think the tradition here, they have a tradition, the history, you don't deviate far from that, and I think that's what's so unique about the school.
I was a student here from 1996 and then graduated with the class of 2000, and then I came back to work here in the August of 2008 and have been working here for the last 10 years. When I was a student here, I think the 2 teachers maybe that made the biggest impact on me were my band director, Ed Kimbrough, who of course inspired me to go on and not just be a band director, but I guess literally follow in his footsteps here. And he was just a great, passionate teacher, and I think he told me one time that he decided to be a band director because watching his high school band director, it was the only person he knew who, when he was at work, always looked like he was having a good time. I think what makes Page a special place, there's 2 big things for me. One is the people that are here. It's a great group to be around. The students, when I was a student, and the teachers, and then as a teacher now, the teachers that I get to work with, the students I get to work with. And I think that Page High School's diversity makes it a really unique place. It's a really interesting place to be, to meet a lot of people with a lot of different perspectives and people that are passionate about a lot of different things.
So first and last name. Tell me your first name.
Okay. Sandra Alexander.
Can you spell that for me?
Sandra. Alexander, Alexander.
Can you tell us your
connection to Page?
Well, for 8 years, from 2008 to 2016, I served as an at-large member of the Board of Education for Guilford County Schools and had an occasion to actually vote on many proposals that involved the welfare and growth of Page High School.
Well, I arrived here in 2006, and you know, growing up, I used to come over here. I watched them play in the state championship game back when they used to play at the home field, the higher seed. So it was always a program that, you know, I always thought that I would love to be at one day. I had the opportunity in 2006. I came, and so I was here for 11 years. 2011, we won the state championship, and it'd been the first time that I think we'd won it in 25 years. So that was a pretty big deal. But I think one thing that made it, that we were an underdog. Every week that we lined up to play, we were an underdog, and we had great community, student support. I remember coming down through the stands for those games, but nobody expected us to win, and the student body was there. I mean, the transformation, I think, of the school spirit was something I'll never forget. Interesting was the people. I met a lot of good people here over 11 years.
Well, I am actually making a full circle. I have a son that was here, that graduated here from here, 1997. Chris Edwards, active football player, basketball, track. And so I am a athletic mother. I volunteered in the attendance office the whole 4 years he was here, and so Page has a special place in my heart, in my family, and I feel like I'm kind of coming back and doing the back end of what I did at the beginning.
I had many jobs here at Page. I served 2 different terms as PTA president, and then served on countless committees. Been a member of the, I'm on the board with the Page Alumni and Friends, and then it was my great privilege to work my way up as to represent Page High School on the Board of Education. You can't buy tradition and history. Those things are priceless. And the support of an alumni base that goes back 60 years is very difficult to replicate.
Well, my fondest memories begin with my first year here, and just walking into the building and seeing all the kids come in and wondering how is everything going to be. But the thing that jumps out the most at me was how the community embraced the new administrative staff, with Dr. Faison being brand new, as well as myself and Mr. Ullman. So I remember that more vividly. One of the more exciting memories I have is actually seeing Mr. Clendenin get a jacket on the field at one of the football games, and seeing the response from the community, the students, all of the former Page alum, and just seeing how they were so happy for him and seeing the impact that he had made on the school. Page is a very special place for many reasons. A few I'll list. I think the community buy-in, the pride that the students have, having gone through this journey here at Page, going on to do many other things, be it something in Hollywood or becoming a doctor or joining the military. They always seem to come back, so there is a sense of pride joining Page here. And then there's a history of academic performance.
I am the board member representing Page now since 2016. I'm very, very proud to represent this storied school with such a wonderful reputation, and just so glad that I can represent Page and be a part of the great success here. I've only been the board member since 2016, but I do have a great memory of it. I attended the Page-Dudley football game with Rebecca Buffington, who was the board member at the time. And the Page Pirates prevailed over Dudley. I think they were both undefeated, and it was just a fantastic game. Page represents, in my estimation, the best of Guilford County?
I became affiliated with Page High School as a student between 1992 and I graduated in 1996. A memorable moment for me would probably be all of senior year. It was an amazing time, starting with being crowned Pirate Queen in the fall, and just the amazing moments up until graduation.
I'm a 1974 graduate at Page High School. Also worked for the school system for 38 years, and then the latter part of that I was the chief financial officer with the district. I think the thing that comes to mind for me in 1974, well actually in my freshman year, I went to my first Page Scribs League game as a Pirate, and we lost. I was devastated because we had a record of, I can say that we had probably an extended family there, probably at times been 15 to 20 of us that have gone to the game and rooted hard for the Pirates. And I have extended family that I think we've converted some of them from the dark side to the red and white side. It's nice to hear them be able to chant Page High forever at the end of that football game.
I'm certain that the Page legacy will continue long into the future. Congratulations, Page Pirates.
Congratulations, Paige, on your 60th anniversary, and I know there will be a happy 60th more to come.
Happy anniversary, Page High School.
Congratulations to Page High School on turning 60.
Congratulations
for 60 wonderful years, Page High School.
Yay, Paige!
Congratulations to Page High School, 60 years of awesome experiences and transformation to where you are now, and happy anniversary.
It has been my pleasure to be here for part of this, but congratulations to Page on 60 years of excellence in all our areas. Go Pirates!
Congratulations, Page High School, on 60 years. I'm sure you will have 60 more fabulous years.
From the bottom of my heart, I want to congratulate each and every one for 60 years of this wonderful school. I hope it's always a flagship school, and with the support of the community and the students and the administration, it will be a flagship school.
Congratulations, Page Pirates. 60 years, still going strong, and I'm sure you'll be here long after I'm gone, and 60 more. Go Pirates!
Happy 60th anniversary!